is that? And as I'm coming forward, how is that? Good. Doing BOGs. That shouldn't be too. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Oh yeah, I got the AC blasting and a moderately warm cup of chai actually today.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Mm.
Yeah, we don't have the AC on yet, but because it's only 8 o'clock, but it will be shortly.
Yes.
It will be shortly for sure.
Gonna be a scorcher for you.
Yes.
Yes.
And humid and possible thunder
Yeah.
showers again.
All right.
But
Welcome to summer, right?
yeah, it is what it is.
That's right. Late August at this point.
I'm just praying for New Orleans now.
I know it.
Gosh.
So many places needing well wishes. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning.
How's it
I'm
going?
good. I
Good.
actually got caught up in writing stuff out for week 6 of body of design.
Okay.
Everything's mixing.
It's just one.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Soup.
And so yeah, I got caught up in that, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta go. But
Yeah,
yeah, I will drop out probably about 9:35. I got pulled into gymnastics duty for my granddaughter. So, but then I'll be back on.
How
I know.
wonderful is that?
How do you turn that down? Can you take her? Sure.
Like that's a question?
Yeah, right. So, but yes.
So Rachel just texted me. She can't get the passcode screen. So let me see how to get rid
Make sure it's an underscore. That's the biggest one.
Oh.
or, because you can't, on mine anyway, I can't see the passwords while I'm typing it. So it's like, ooh.
Interesting for me. I just click on the link and it does everything.
Copy paste. Yeah. It depends what
Yeah.
kind of device you're on.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I have an iPhone.
Totally.
Yeah.
Got
Well,
it.
even on my laptop, it works better by typing it in than clicking
Then
on the,
cut and
I don't know
paste, yeah.
why. I mean, it'll work, but then it's like the next time it won't. And so it's like, I just type it in now because it just is, I know it's going to work if I type it in.
Right. Well, we'll wait for her to come. I really appreciate everybody's enthusiasm for one of my major teachers. And I don't know if you saw, but I sent all the links to the Facebook Messenger group. Facebook Messenger is not my favorite cheese-it, but it's convenient when there's just a tiny amount of people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yay. And I sent the PDF.
Yeah, I did see
there.
that.
So
Yeah, I gave a brief overview. That looked really interesting. Thank you so
It's-
much.
you're welcome so much. What I love now in 2021, I don't know how long it's been up there, it's called a PDF. It's a 190-page PDF, not a book. 190-page PDF that you can, and what the link I gave you is downloaded from his site.
Oh,
So highly recommend checking it out. It's a good map. And if you're like me, nothing gets you hot and bothered like a good map.
Yes.
Welcome, Rach. Good morning to you down in Texas, land of steaminess.
Ooh, Lord Jesus. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Is Mademoiselle M with you?
I know she's in the actual spiritual. She's in the actual bedroom in the covers.
I should call her Madam M. She's more of a madame, despite her,
She's a
her petiteness. How did everybody sleep last night?
horrible.
what?
I'm
I
sorry.
concur.
Sorry.
Well, we had thunderstorms roll through here. Like you thought the lightning was in the house and the thunder shook the house. And both my boys are snoring through it. I'm like, really? How could you? The dog, I couldn't find her because God knows where she
freaked
hid.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they were like rolling. So it was like one came through and then it calmed down.
God,
Then
that
another one
sounds
came through.
gorgeous. Wow.
It was. There's a really pretty light show going on. And of course, one time the lightning hit so close that the power went out, snapped. And I'm just like, okay, this is interesting. How are you guys sleeping through this?
The gift of sleep, the gift of checking out delusion
Yeah.
and dissociation. I don't know.
No. And then the dog decided to come out at 2:30 in the morning because the neighbors were doing something. And so she started barking I'm protecting the house. And so we all jumped up for that, like, what's going on? And then she wanted to eat. Let's see, what else?
So you had an eventful morning.
Yeah, and then my son got up
Since
because
2
he
in the
snored
morning.
through the whole night.
Okay.
He was up at 4:00 in the morning.
Oh my God. You guys.
Really, people?
Yeah. Welcome to Gay's Life, everybody.
And I'm retired. Hello.
It's the endless stream of muggleness. 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows, as they
Yeah.
say.
And I think right now my dog, she's being worse than a toddler. So
Oh, we'll bring her in. Hey, we got kids and
I
dogs,
tried to get
right?
her to
Like
come in,
joy incarnate.
yeah.
All right, so let's get a rolling. Another thing that I did want to mention, this is just to warm us up to talk about stuff. This dude and the dude I was talking about, which the person who I sent all the PDFs on, or all the links to, there's another link I could send. He has a lot of young tech savvy people around him, as you might imagine. And they've made him this beautiful website. He's become tech savvy. He does online weekend retreats where you don't really have to do the whole thing. You can do it in chunks, morning chunk, afternoon chunk, things like that. If you guys are really interested in this approach, that might be something to do. It's probably shinzen.org. I believe it's a .org. This past year, he does longer retreats. I think not 2 week, but they might be 12 days or something like that. They cover both weekends plus the week. So maybe that's 10 days plus. A couple of times a year, he'll do them at different centers throughout the States and Canada, when he does in Canada. He was doing them online this past year, which for pretty much half the cost, which was amazing. So more things to poke around in if you're interested. So let's get into the groove. Dharma, you gotta prove your effectiveness to me, yeah. I've just completely dated myself. All right.
Madonna
That's
never
my
dared.
favorite Madonna song.
Is it?
Yes. Desperately Seeking Susan.
I love that. Let me see. I'm going to change the view a bit because I'm going to do speaker view so that if this turns into a recording, then that I need to chop up, I don't have to chop off your faces. Chop off the heads. So, good morning, everybody, again. Welcome back, welcome back. So herein begins our practice of sense gate honing and clarity. We gave a little bit of an overview last night and other materials to get you situated within what that is. So hopefully you have some clarity around that. Today, this morning, we're going to be starting with the feels as an object of concentration or an object of focus. This is something that everybody in most traditions, if you've already been light working, if you've already been meditating, you're familiar with this version or versions of this through body scans. A body scan is simply feel out awareness. And sure, you can do a body scan in 2 minutes. You can spend an hour scanning the body, your physical truth in the moment. Many other ways to do this, and many other traditions use the physicality as a practice. Well, one that comes to mind right now is mudra practice, where you do something with your hands, feel the physicality around that, and then develop something develops out of that. So today we're going to simply go to the meditation gym and lift the weight of sensory clarity around the feels. So what I've spoken about so far is the feel out. That's what I will call feel out. Anything that you could describe as physical sensation happening to yourself. So that includes the inner systems of the body, the hiccups, sneezing, the digestive system, breathing. Another great example of a basic meditation concentration technique based in the body, based in feel out, the external sensation of body. Anything that has to do with temperature in the body, you feel cool air, you feel warm air, you feel sweat and dew and moisture emerging from the body. If you're out early in the morning, you may feel dew collecting on your skin. So everything that the skin can tell you, also other things of the body, temperature, I mentioned, temperature, texture, that's more skin, things like weight, heaviness, density, that's where we start to talk about gravity. In contrast to that, lightness, a lift, etc., etc. So it's something, an arena of focus that you could meditate on for the rest of your life. There are endless explorations around this. One of my early teachers before I came upon this type of work based in Shinzen Yang and Theravadan Buddhism, I was a dancer and somatics practitioner in my early 20s. And I began working with this woman named Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen. And she has a system called Body Mind Centering. In this system, she goes into all systems of the body, and she is a yogi who has spent her entire life, as of 2021, she is still alive and teaching, an entire life in exploring the body. What's the body and all the different sensations? And I bring this up now because she, interestingly, has classes and teachings on going in and experiencing the different organs sensorially. How can you touch into the kidneys? Easy when they're in pain, but what about when they're not? The genital system, the liver, the stomach, the spleen, the intestines. And moving from having expression from different organs, the brain, not in terms of thought, but in terms of its organness. Just another way to explore, feel out. Feel in. Sometimes there's a gray area between the feel out experience in your present moment and the feel in experience in your present moment. Feel out, feel in. The feel in, what I'm referring to feel in are body sensations, physical sensations that arise that are predominantly able to be labeled as emotions, feeling tones, feels, the feels. When we feel an emotion in the body, some of the science behind it is that it's a communication system for cognition, for the brain. There's an experience that happens, and there's an emotional response of, say, perhaps delight. Your chemistry sends chemicals and electricity through the nervous system, and we're not going to get more detailed than that, and sends this chemical electrical flush through the body, through the endocrine system, through different glands, and activates and lights up other chemicals there. The other part of your brain has learned to understand these emotional states, these chemical flushes, as emotional states. When you're a tiny, tiny baby, you kind of don't know. You've slipped into this amazing body and the feels are big. Something happens and you're hungry. Something happens and you're suddenly, there's laughter and you're giggling. Your caretaker, if you have had a halfway decent caretaker, will begin to give word to that sensation that you're having. Happy baby, happy baby, happy baby. And the growing brain of a baby begins to associate that word, eventually understanding it as an emotion, with that sensation in their body that has all the other reactions of giggles, sound, smiles, etc., etc. So I'm just unpacking and it really concretizing the chain, the physical sciencey chain, slaughtering the science of it, of emotions, and why there's a little bit of a slide between what's physicality and what's emotionality. At least there always has been for me, and I can only really speak from my personal experience. Another thing to be aware of in terms of emotion, what they say, what I've learned, and I believe this is mostly true, is that if you are emotionally numb or deadened, I don't believe anybody coming to me here is, but perhaps you are in some way or some capacity. The emotional life will happen through the front of the body, the head, the face, the throat, down through the chest, the belly, and in through the groin area. Typically, for the most part. That's, of course, where your endocrine system is pretty much mapped out. Any area that there's some kind of gland is probably an area that you will begin to detect emotions through your body. For me, if I have to be completely honest, when I feel emotions, I feel them through the chest. And that's what I have been trained since I was a tiny, tiny baby. Those are the feels. That's feeling tone and emotion. If I feel it through here, we often call that, if we're light workers, we call that our heart center. Anything that's a sexual sensation, or, maybe a furrowed brow of frustration or anger, I have learned to label and note those things as physical sensations related to what's going on in my heart area. So that's me. That is my unique brain understanding what it means to be a human being who has a body and an emotional life. I bring this up because on the one hand, I'm speaking generally and things I've been taught and things I've experimented with, and the ideas and theories around this exploration of the internal feeling in internal feels, and my own personal experience. Most teachers would tell you that's all they can offer you. And all I can really offer you are all these words describing my experiences, and then some ways to experiment for yourself and to find your truth within this map. I'm giving you a map, but you have to take that map and you have to go on that journey. You have to go on that into that land and explore for yourself. I hope we're all on board with this. I cannot offer you an emotional life. That is part of your birthright, your body and your emotional life. The feels: anger, sadness, frustration, curiosity, peace, ease, love, delight, kindness. Brief scale of some of the emotional life. And perhaps I will give you another PDF here of different maps of the emotions and the variants that people have literally mapped out in the realm of psychology. If you just want something to play with. Another thing to note before we dive in here and get into techniques. Oh, good. Our timing is good. Another, I think I need a little sip of water too. I'll remind everybody to stay hydrated as much as you can, please. Another thing to keep in mind is that you've been trained by your caretakers to understand what feelings and what emotions, what your feel-ins. We're just talking about feel-in now. What feel-in, what the emotions are. There may have been a case where anger was not allowed in your household, in the caretaker environment. And so you may not understand when that sensation arises. You might block it out, you might numb it out. It may be stuck in your body in some way, and you may not even know what it is. I say this because when we start to move into the technique and we sit calmly, quietly, and patiently and wait at the gate, the door of the feel-in space, anything could arise. And there may be things that arise that you could call emotions, feels, simply because they're not physical sensations, as you know physical sensations to be. However, you may not have a name for that emotion. You know that it's a feel-in, you know that it's an emotion, feeling, tone, something, but you don't have a word, you don't have a name for it. That's totally cool. News to you. Great. So you may simply acknowledge that as, I don't know what this is. And you may have the option of having a little bit of curiosity and delight around that, because lo and behold, you have discovered something new about yourself. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? Perhaps you grew up with a full emotional life and your parents were very articulate about the feel-in space. You may sit calmly, quietly, and patiently and be flooded with all of these things that you recognize. You know what these things are. There's a flood of them. Could happen. Note to self, perhaps this is happening all the time for you. And now that you're sitting here quietly and patiently looking through the door of the feel-in space, you never knew that you had this kaleidoscope of an emotional life happening every moment of your incarnation, of your lived experience, walking on the planet. News to you. How awesome is that? Really exciting. I think all of this stuff is really exciting. I feel hugely blessed to be exploring this with others. It's one of my great loves of my life. So, what I've just unpacked a little bit right now is what is the external feel out, what we're going to be calling feel out space, and what is the internal feel in space. Are there any questions about what I mentioned? You can simply unmute yourself and ask. Now we're good? Yeah. So let's talk a little about the approach and the techniques that we'll use. And then we'll have an experience with them, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about that experience. Another little sippy sip here. So when we go in, when we enter in, as I indicated last night, we'll start with the bell like this. I believe that you can all hear that. And that will indicate the beginning of the sit. I will verbally guide just a little bit, and it will be a 15-minute practice. At the end of the 15 minutes, you'll hear that again. There's a good chance that I may do this. Sometimes if you're meditating, you think you heard something, but you're not quite sure. If you went pretty deep, you may have that question. And so I'll do it a couple of times to remind you that it's actually happening in your lived experience. We haven't approached hear out yet, but this is a hear out. That will be your indicator to begin to move out of the practice. And there'll be a little bit of guidey around all of these things. So the bell will ding. I'll guide you to simply relax and feel your body. And I'll give a few suggestions about what your body feels like and how to explore that. It's typical if you've been with me at any point in the future or the past. I love that we have a timeline conversation already. The sense of relaxation is a physical sensation. That's a feel out. So we'll start with feel out right away. So for you, you may choose to silently or out loud to yourself say, feel out. You may decide to do that just to be clear, or simply notice silently to yourself the physical sensations. When you say something like that internally or out loud to yourself, that is a technique called labeling. You don't have to get your mental panties in a bunch about what that is. It's simply what I said. You acknowledge it cognizantly with a word, feel out. Or you don't. You simply sit with the external feel out experience that I'll guide your awareness to. We'll relax. We'll breathe. That's another feel out. We'll get comfortable. We'll shift. That's another feel out. This is just getting us warmed up and situated for an experience. Hunkering down and lifting up. That's another physical experience, probably through the spine. And then at a certain point, I'll shift into asking you to explore feelings, feeling tones, emotions, feel-ins that arise in your present moment. And all you need to do is simply notice them. If you want to, maybe we'll do a mini sit with the feel-in experience if we have time before we end this session. Simply notice feel in, and again, label it, note it. Feel in, something arises, feel in. Feel in. So we're not at the point where we're noting the name of the emotional experience, but you could do that. In the experience we'll be having, it's simply noticing from a calm place what's true for you in that 15-minute experience. What's true for you in the feels externally, your physical experience, and what's true for you in your emotional life. If you're a light worker, we often call this the emotional body. That's the technique that we'll be exploring. Towards the end, another bell will ring and we'll come out and we'll talk about what was true for us. That's it, simple as that. Just an exploration, just an experiment to get used to keeping your awareness focused in the feels, the feel in and the feel out. So before we start, are there any questions?
I have one.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to know, Christine, what was the name of the lady, the Bainbridge Cohen lady? I'm super
yeah.
interested.
Great. Her name is Bonnie
Bonnie.
Bainbridge Cohen, Cohen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. You're welcome. She's amazeballs. She
I'm
does
super
classes.
interested. Yeah.
She has classes online now as well.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And she'll talk about the consciousness of the body as well. So it's there's a great slide there. Highly recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Gay, did you have a question?
Yes, I did.
Mm.
So while you were talking,
Yeah.
and this happens more than often than not, but so like I felt say a pain sensation in my back, okay, in my spine. And then I work it through like, okay, what is that? You know, what's going on? And then it releases and I realize it's releasing an emotion. So in that case, it's like, I'm like questioning because it's a feel out because I'm feeling pain, but it's also a feel in because the emotion is released.
Yeah. Yep.
So would that be something that would commonly happen like when we're doing this feel out?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me unpack what Gay's talking about a little bit more. So awesome. Yeah. Things bleed and blend because we're going to the gym and we're talking about the weight that says on it, feel out. And we're talking about the other weight. We got two weights here, the other weight that says feel in. We're just getting into the details. When you go to actually have a practice, life is life. The feels in any capacity, in or out, may not be available for you at that moment. They may not be that salient or present. So be it. Interest, opportunity, necessity. Because we're in a focused, themed practice, we do our best. We do our best to stay in the theme. So what Gay is pointing at is what a lot of us talk about. If you're going to talk about it in terms of somatics, which is something, the field that Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen works in is called somatics, the field of somatics. It's one of what my degree is in. My graduate degree is in somatics and consciousness studies. Kelsey, right? There's another seminal book there called The Body Keeps the Score by Bess van der Kolk. If you guys are super interested, I can send it to you. And it's something that if you were in the lab a couple of years ago, Crystal had this big experience of what Gay's talking about and thought it was a brand new special thing, which it was for her. However, it's been known for 2,000 years, this experience, because humans. I'm just going to say, because humans, that's all. Not to discount that experience and the importance and specialness of that and the audience that she may have been speaking to. However, Bess Vanderkolk did write a book about that a couple decades ago. And it wasn't news. It wasn't news at that point. The way Shinzen, the way Blue Book Dude talks about it, I don't think he speaks about it anymore in this way, but I love this phrase. He calls it, at some point in your meditation practice, you'll begin to experience the pool of poison and pain. It's there. If you're incarnate, it's likely there. You can spiritual bypass and put all kinds of metta and love on top of it that may begin to wear it down. However, bearing equanimous witness, pure presence of this pool of poison and pain with pebbles and sticks and stones and amorphous beings, will likely just need presence. And as Gay experienced, there was a physical feel out sensation that she, with kind awareness, said, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be with you. Pain, sensation in my feel out experience, I'm going to be with this. And then it opened and it said, waha, let me take off the mask. I am not feel out, I am actually feel in. And it emerged as a feel in experience. As you move deeper and deeper into meditative states, with more practice, you'll notice that your awareness, your conscious awareness, does not, what's the thing that women are said to do, where they can do multiple things at the same time? Can somebody tell me that term?
Multitask.
Multitasking. Technically, it's not possible. Technically, your mind is going here, 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 here. If you're really quiet and really still for, say, an hour and simply watch, have the capacity to watch your multitasking, it's here, here. It's happening really quickly in the speeded up lived experience on the planet. As you meditate, time, as we know it, slows down. And the here, 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 here doesn't blur, and you can see it here, 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 here. Feel in, feel in, feel out, feel in, feel out, feel out, feel out, feel out. Oh, look, feel in. That's one thing. Yeah, they can happen all at the same time, which is why we do the little weights of feel in, feel out, so we can just tweeze things apart. In your lived experience, you're lifting all the weights at the same time. You're hearing and you're seeing and you're feeling, and your brain is processing a lot of these things right now. But this practice can be super relaxing because we're asking the emergency aligned aspect of the brain to just relax for a minute. We're just going to relax and just focus on one thing here. We're just going to focus on the feel out and the feel in. So that was a whole bunch of words, thanks, Gay, that helped us open up this experience. It may be true too that your feel-ins, your emotional life is completely consuming your life at the moment. That may be true. That may be true for you. I guarantee that it's a moment by moment experience. If you slow down enough and pay attention, your mind has the capacity to be aware also of your feel out. And it's likely that your right elbow feels kind of neutral and maybe okay. Historically, when I've worked with PTSD people or people, cancer patients, this is a technique we use, that there are multiple experiences happening in the present moment, and it's not just the unpleasant. Everything's available to you. if you loosen the grip and your obsession with the unpleasantness in the feel out or the feel in, and simply be present with it, there's a little bit of looseness there, and you can start to touch into other feel outs and other feel ins that are also true. I really want to get to a sit here, so hopefully that's helpful and not daunting. I am unable to determine what your lived experience is going to be for 15 minutes. Only you and your presence and your willingness will be able to be there for your experience. Is there anything else before we begin? Do we need to take a little pee break? Does something else need to happen? Great, so we're good for 15. Let's begin. Before the bell, get comfortable. Find a place for your you-ness to be. And to begin, you're already doing it. Breathe and feel your body. Where is your awareness drawn initially? With the breath, with physical sensation in your body. What is easiest for you to pay attention to in your physical truth of this now moment? Simply rest with that easiest feel out experience. Note, label it as feel out. And now slide your awareness to your breathing. Doesn't have to be any particular way. You may notice that the inhale is probably cool, cool sensation. How do you know that the inhale is cool? Where does your physicality pick up sensation of coolness? Be specific, feeling out. As well as the exhale, typically is a little bit warmer. How do you know? Noting, feel out with the exhale. And continuing with your own breath cycle, feeling out. Staying with feeling out. You may continue to rest your awareness on your breathing, or you may explore other feel out sensations. It is true that sometimes other types of experiences will move into your awareness that are not feel out. That's okay. Things will arise that are auditory, that are visual, that are scent or taste associated. That's okay. Simply bring your awareness back with kindness to the feel out experience of the body. Ways to explore the feel out. Do you feel sensations of heaviness and gravity? Label feel out. Do you feel sensations of expanse and lightness? Feel out. Do you feel sensations of temperature? Feel out. Do you feel sensations of contraction or tightness? Feel out. Do you feel sensations of looseness or openness? Again, feeling out. Allow your awareness to run through your body, delighting in the feel out moment. Shifting very intentionally your awareness to your breathing. Once again, feel out breathing. What moves as you breathe? And from the moving aliveness of the breath, allow your awareness to slide into your emotional life. In this now moment, what is true for you? Feel in what is true. There may be peaceful restfulness in your emotional life. There may be wet fluctuations in your emotional life of sorrow. There may be light, airy emotional fluctuations of joy. And everything in between. Simply rest with the truth of your emotions as they arise moment by moment by moment. Always coming back to feel in. And relaxing now, relaxing your awareness. Taking a fuller breath, maybe a sigh. And for a few moments now, simply allowing the awareness to float within the space of feel. Feel in and feel out. Letting it float in the feels. Gently, gently coming back, coming back. Taking your time to transition, perhaps writing down notes, moving your body. We'll take just a tiny break now before we have a little reflection on our experience. Hi, everybody. Wait till Gay returns and then we'll have a little conversation about what your experience was. What was that like? And again, they're just experiments. ways to know the self, as Shinzen would say. So I would love to hear pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, all experiences. Welcome. It's here. Thank you.
All right, I'll start because I don't see Rachel jumping in.
She's right. She's reflecting. She's writing stuff down.
Oh,
That's what that looks like to me. Go ahead.
the physical part, I call it was easy because it was easier for me to focus on the different feels of the body. So like, even when you talked about the breath, or, you know, it was much more comfortable, maybe I should say, for my mind to be able to focus on the breath coming in and going out, you know, feeling my nose hairs move, you know, those kind of things. And especially your voice, it makes the back of my neck tingle all the time. So your radio voice always.
My radio voice, my jazz radio voice. Yeah.
Yep. So that was an easy one. You know, I was like, oh, I just love that tingly feeling in the back of my neck. And but same as usual, you know, I notice tension in my shoulders, and, you know, trying to keep those relaxed, and, you know, you feel that. So the, excuse me, feel out. I'm not going to say it was easy because my mind would still wander a little bit, but it was more comfortable. I like that word better.
Yeah.
It was more comfortable to do. Now, when you go to the feels in, it's like, I call it emotion overload. It was like, all these words, you know, were flying through here, you know, sorrow, loneliness, I mean, just all of them. And then it was like, wait a minute, I don't feel no joy, and I don't feel, you know, so it's like, and then the brain, it would go off into like a picture. I would see something and I'd be like, oh, whoa, time out, get back here. And so then it'd have to come back. And then I was like, okay, instead of trying to figure out all the emotions going on right now, which was very interesting to me that many emotions are all going on within, was like, hey, just focus on one, or just, you know, whichever first one comes into your brain, just sit with it for a minute instead of moving on to the next one. And so then towards the end, it was interesting because I actually came to peacefulness. I felt peacefulness. And I was like, wow, just by acknowledging them, it brought peacefulness. So that was my experience in a nutshell. I mean, there was a lot more going on in there, but it was very interesting to I call it slow down, like you said, you know, slow down and actually look at some of them, or sit with them. Not even, I was like that, like just sit with it. Don't analyze it. Don't try to tie it to something. Don't, because that was the first thing. I was like, well, why do I feel sorrow? Oh, because I'm mourning the loss of blah, blah, blah. You know, and it's like, okay, stop analyzing, stop the brain going here. Just sit with it. What is it? Instead of that, trying to tie it to an event, or trying to tie it to something sad or something done to, you know. And so, but it was so interesting that at the end, it was just peacefulness, just sitting here in peacefulness. It was really cool. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for sharing your experience. I have a question. Where would you map the sorrow and the feelings that did arise, including the peacefulness? Where do they happen in your body for you? You can point, or you can describe.
Different ones were different places. Like some I caught were in my head, like anger. You know, there was anger, and it was like, but I was mad about something, and that was I call more cranial. But the mourning, the loss was more in the heart area. Some of them actually brought up physical sensations, like in my back, especially in the spine area. It was like all of a sudden, and I don't know if you remember, but I've had a chronic foot issue for years. And it reared its head again when one of the, I don't remember which emotion came through, but it was like, oh,
Hi,
there
pay
goes the,
attention to me, pay attention to me. Yeah.
I'm like, I had fixed you. I don't have you anymore. And it was like, oh, it's still here. So yeah, it was, at the beginning, it was too fast, but I think that's a really, I'll have to remember that the next time I do it, is to see exactly where it's, I just remember the anger being up because I felt my head get hot, it was like,
Ah,
and then it
heat.
was, yeah. And then it was, like I said, though, the morning of the loss it was the heart. I could just feel my heart cringe a little bit.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
Mm-mm.
Rachel, would you like to share what happened for you?
I was really surprised that I didn't launch straight into, I guess, I don't even really know how to say it. I guess you keeping us focused kept me from sliding straight into feel in, because that's my default. Let me go ahead and slide straight to feel in. And so the keeping the focus on feel out first was like a relief, because I didn't have to launch straight into stuff. It was like this very nice, okay, we're just going to take a little stroll around the body. Isn't that nice? And could just connect with sensation and not have to be in stuff. So I really like the separated focus of the feel out versus the feel in. But that showed me where I do it to myself. Like, you go straight to your stuff and you don't have to. There's a choice there, and you can change that pattern. So that was good. And I noticed that I didn't get really any clairvoyant imagery until we went to feel in. When it was feel out, it's all just sensation and I don't see anything. But when we go to feel in, eventually the images did start to come, and they were a lot slower than normal meditation for me. They were slower and less frantic. And as far as the emotions that came up, for me, I was just sort of sitting back watching them come in without connecting to any of them. And I noticed that like happiness and joy felt like they were upper right side of my aura. And then the heavy stuff like fear and rage and all that stuff felt like it was lower left side and very in the body. Like the rage is right in my butt. It's right in my butt cheek. And like I can feel that piriformis muscle going, eh, eh, eh.
The piriformis of rage. I love it.
Yes.
I need a t-shirt.
Seriously. And I was just sitting back watching all of it happen and thinking, isn't this so cool that there is room for all this stuff? There's room, and it doesn't have to be frantic, and it doesn't have to be crazy. There's just room for it all to be here. Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that amazing?
But yeah, so super, super cool experience. It was nice just to have it separated out so they could focus on each one instead of going into the chaos.
Great. Significant insights there, Rach.
Yeah. Choices, patterns.
Choices, patterns, spaciousness.
Mhm.
Spaciousness is equanimity, is witness consciousness and its essence. At some point, we identify
Yeah.
with the spaciousness more than any other emotional fluctuation or physical sensation that could possibly arise. There's just enough space. And there you
Yeah,
are living
appreciate
it.
the distance, because you're just so close to some of your stuff sometimes. You're like, can you back the fuck up?
Right.
Can you just back the fuck up?
The
So, yeah,
tendency towards
really good stuff.
myopia. Yeah, especially for those doing the work, as I would say. For us light workers who do not want to spiritual bypass, we're like, okay, then I'm going to buckle up and I'm going to look at that stuff. And it's going to be right
Yeah.
here. It's a little.
And before you started the sit, you were saying some of you may have your feel in maybe just taking over your whole experience right now. I was like, me, me. So I don't know. It was really good. It was really good.
So interesting too. Rachel brings up another great point that we always often, I wouldn't say always, but often experience. We have an idea about what it's going to be for us. And then we go in, and if we just sit in the now present moment with what actually is, we might be a little surprised about what's true, what's actually there than what we decided was true based on what's happened in the past. Every moment is new. Every moment is fresh.
Yeah, I think that insight that I had where, okay, I have this fear and anger, but that ability to see the space there. I have the fear and anger, and
And
I have the joy and the happiness and the peacefulness. And that was such a freaking relief.
and
And I am not
Awesome.
fear. I am not anger. I have it and. Powerful.
Great. I'm so overjoyed that you've had that experience. Both of you, really. So when I talk about meditation techniques and experiences as having the ability to create a wedge, just a little wedge between. Does that begin to make sense now as a lived experience for all y'all? Yay, what amazing students. Thank you. I could not be happier. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's have a mini, and then we're going to close out a few minutes early and start well, I'll tell you specifics about time to do the silent. Let's dive in. Let's just do a 5-minute, and I'll bong on either end, my bonger tools. Let's do the feel ins a little more specifically, since that is so present for all of us. There's so many different ways the feel ins can show up, and both of you shared how that can be. They can be organically arising with no story. They can be attached full on. They've weaved together, and there's like images and feels all at the same time. Can we tweeze out and say, thank you for sharing image space? We're just going to stay with the feels. Or there can be the snowball effect where there's a feel coming up, and then chick, chick, there's a train that's associated with that feel, and then we jump on the train, and then we're in land of story. And that's a whole other practice, right? So then we go, oh, I'm in land of story. Now I'm doing feels. Pluck ourselves off the train and we come back. What's the feel in? Feel in. The emotions can arise from a physical contraction or tightness or openness in the body. They can arise on their own. If the emotions arise in a little panties in a bunch knot with a whole bunch of other kinds of experiences, see if you can just tweeze out. You're just going to tweeze out the feel in. You're just going to tweeze out the feel in. So for the 5 minutes, it's going to be a little bit of a hunt. We're hunting. We're hunting for the internal feel, for the feel in. Once you find it, name it. Buffy, Charlie, no, don't name it. Name it something that, try to identify it. So we're getting a little sciencey here. We're tweezing out where are the feels. And it may take you an entire 5 minutes to find one feel. That's okay. That is so valid and valuable. And your experience. Name it. And you both have started to do that. So let's lean into that practice just a little bit more. Can you, and please please be aware that as you're naming it, you're engaging herein. Does that make sense? You're here in labeling. Ooh, relief, relief. That's a here in cognate. That's if it's English, that's not happening out of your mouth. That's here in. Even if it feels like a clear cog, it's a herein. So you will be using the herein unless you decide to name it out loud and say, anger. I don't know. Relief. Ooh. Yummy, I don't know. Ooh. Freedom, joy. To give labels to them. That way you begin to know what your lexicon is for your emotional life. And diving in deeper and deeper of what's actually there without you deciding how you want to feel or need to feel or supposed to feel, should feel. What's true? What's true? If it doesn't feel safe, if somehow there's anxiety, if you want to switch to labeling, cognating with the word, labeling feel in as a strong, brand new neutral, go for that. So does that make sense? Feel in, I don't know. Oh, I have other labels too. Don't know. Pleasant emotions, negative emotions, you might just say that, pleasant, negative, or the specific emotional label that you already know. So that's what we'll do for 5 minutes. We're just gonna sit there and open up Pandora's box. How does that land for everybody? Give me some thumbs, or like this, or like this.
Okay, question.
Quest.
So we can, I call it choose one of those emotions that showed up earlier and just sit with just that one?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Instead, you're going to bear witness to the kaleidoscope that arises. And you don't have to be perfect, especially if it's a whole bunch of stuff, at labeling every single thing exactly as it happens. You're just going to rest your awareness there on what would be called for you, Gay, the flow of feel in. You have a flow state of events happening in your emotional body. Name as many as you can, or simply notice as many as you can without getting distracted. Is that helpful?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So the mind that wants to control the feel in is gonna have a coffee, just relax for a bit, and just be with the flow just for 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank
Sweet. You're welcome. All right, let's move in. So to begin, hunker down, get comfy, settle in. Starting with a basic breathe and feel. And as you feel ready, allow the breath to help you slide into feel in. As an example, for a few moments, I'll note and label my feel in experience. Peace, peace. Don't know, excitement, joy, don't know, exhaustion, fear, fear, relief, open, joy, and on and on. Just the feel in thread of experience, coming back to the feel in again and again. And coming back, coming back, coming back. Move a bit, breathe, inhale, coming back from your mini experiment. So, do tell just a tiny bit. We'll share a little bit of our experiences, and then we'll take a tiny break, and then we'll move into a longer meditative practice of choose your own adventure within the realm of feels. How was that 5-minute check-in?
I had no idea. I felt so many different things, one on top of each other like that. But I did notice that towards the end there, they stopped coming so fast. And there were longer stretches of, well, my brain would try frantically to label it. And so it would start stringing similar words together, trying to describe the feeling. Like don't know, neutral, neutral, stable, calm, neutral, stable, calm, neutral, stable, calm. And then there was no need to label it anymore, just feeling the feeling. So that's how it
There
went for
you are.
me.
Well, awesome. Thank you for sharing.
So this go around, I had a little harder time keeping the monkey mind out of the business, out of the way.
Yeah, awesome.
It'd be like, I'd be doing okay, and doing emotions or whatever, and then the monkey mind would come in, and then it's like, hey, go away. And then it would actually at one point put me on a train. I'm like, what the heck? And I'm seeing, and I'm like, oh, you put me on the train. And it's, and it just says, it's like, you can't get rid of me that quick, and it's like, go away, go away. I want to go back. And so when I finally could calm it down that it will be coming back, then it was interesting because then I call it new words and new emotions came in to play. So
awesome.
that was interesting.
That's so interesting.
Mm.
Look at your dance with the mind, Gay. Holy guacamole chips. Thank you for sharing.
Mm.
So we all have our own experience with it. There's not a right way. So I just gave you horses a bunch of water and you drank it. You drank that Kool-Aid. You experimented with stuff and that was your experience. And it seems like some things were effective and you'll come up with your own awarenesses, your own words for things. I'm going to add another word. And if you look on the PDF chart that I made and gave you guys yesterday, there's the column. In the column, it says rest. So what I might say, Rachel, for your experience, that your brain was going, blah, 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 what is this? Blah, 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 monkey mind, blah, blah, blah. And then you're just with it. What you could cognate there is rest. You're feel in rest. Rest. Feel in rest. If there's this jumble that's too fast, too much, trains are happening and then you come back, feel in flow. If that's easier, it's another way to create that witness consciousness, step back from the activity here, right? And just create that little space, You don't need to be so microscopic and nitty gritty, picky about what it is. Although if that excites you, go for it. It's an option. So hopefully that's all clear as mud. Let's take, in my clock here, it's 10:35. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll meet back here at 10:40 by my computer time, and hopefully everybody's clocks are the same. So walk around, have some water, pee, do the thing, and I'll see you back here in 5 minutes, and we'll do a little bit longer sit. Perhaps we'll keep it 20 minutes. That will be the longest sit we've done so far, and that's good for the beginning of a meditation practice. It will be an unguided. All right. I'll come back in 5 minutes and I'll see you there.